Welcome. Just getting started, just warming up, wrapping up some emails. Mr. Travis, nice to see you. There we go. Fernando, good to see you back, man.
How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm just uploading a video to a title rep who wants to know why I'm sending in a promissory note. And they want their attorney to redraft it or to redraft one. They're like, tell us what you need and we'll draft it. I'm like, I sent you a template. The buyer, the buyer and seller both just approved it. So what do you want?
With yeah.
I so confused. Sometimes I just think, lady, please. But that's all right. We got to learn to work together and get these deals done. It's not easy, and that's why I've got a job, I guess.
Yes, sir.
I heard somebody was going to come in with an underwriting question today, and I spoke. Let's see, I spoke on Tuesday at a local meetup in Kansas City area, so that was good. I'm trying to get a lot more speaking engagements.
Where was that? I saw you post a video in the comment section about contract of deed. Is
Yeah,
that is that where that?
so I recorded it and then I live streamed it the next day
Right.
after I had a chance to cut out the intro, outro, stuff like that and post it.
Nice,
So
nice.
yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. It's like 52 minutes long, but it goes into depth there. I had some Q&A live with the audience as we went. I love Q&A.
Nice.
Travis, you working on any projects, creative finance related?
Yes. So we just took my partner and I just took one down, and so we're
Nice.
with the plans to remodel and sell it, and
Okay.
so
A
we're
sub two
getting it
deal?
back on the market. Yeah, sub two deal. Yeah, so
You,
we got it at 2.25,
uh-huh.
and yeah, so we took it down and did some plans to do a remodel on it, and then do an addition of adding about 1,000 square feet. And so my partner and I are both real estate agents. And so we put it on the market. And so we want to start marketing it with the potential remodeling plan, and then also, wrap it and come up with some options. So that's kind of why I think you would talk to Steve
Okay,
Satterley. That's my business partner.
okay, so you're intending on keeping the sub two loan in place, not just treating it like a short-term bridge loan.
Yeah. So we're just kind of exploring options. We're new to the sub two. We've taken a couple down, buy and hold. And so this is our first sub two where we're just looking at some potential exit strategies and what would be the best, whether we possibly just carry or they come in with cash and we sell it with a rate bump on it. Just kind of trying to explore some options and see what you guys have done.
Hmm. Well, how much cash are you going to have in the deal? Like, are you going to have good ROI when you do that? A lot of times people don't do fix and flip stuff and leave a sub two loan. So let me just say it this way. Typically, I see when somebody's doing any rehab to a property that they're not holding on to, they're just treating it like a bridge loan, the sub two,
Okay.
unless it's a real low budget fix,
Yeah.
fix up.
Yeah. So the sub two, the mortgage we got, it's at 1.5 million.
Interest? Oh, $1 million.
Yeah. One,
Got it.
yeah,
I was
it's
going to say
1.5
1.5%
million.
interest is incredible.
And we got it, the rates at 2.25
That's
on
also
it.
pretty incredible. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so it's a low payment, and it's in a neighborhood that's pretty desirable. So there's only a handful of properties that go up for sale over the last like 4 years on a golf course. So we took it down because the house obviously wasn't selling because the layout had 3 bedroom. It's a 3,500 square foot house, and 3 bedrooms. Master was upstairs, so not what people were wanting. And so we went in there, did some plans to remodel it, and then get a budget together. So if we did the full remodel, would probably be another 400 into the remodel to get it to where we want.
Yeah.
But price point probably be around 2.4, 2.5.
And so you want to, okay. Yeah, I can see how even marking up 1 or 2% interest on that thing, on that balance would start bringing a lot of money back in pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're trying
This
to
is
wrap our
very,
head
very
around all the
non-typical.
options. Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, all right, let's get on a call and figure out what the best options are, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do a side-by-side amortization table of the before and after and just see how much money you'd make. Hang on a minute here.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can pull up my calculator and put it on screen. And maybe run some side by side. You guys got the screen?
Yep.
Cool. So your current, shoot, man, that's gonna be fun. Your current, why is that in here? Anyway, your current debt is how much?
1.5.
Oh, okay. Well, how many years into it is it? Do you know?
It is 4 years in, or two. No, sorry, 3.
Do you know what it started at? Like 1.55, 1.56?
It was like 1.6. I think it was originally.
So let's try to model the original. We're going to get close. We're going to model the
Okay.
original loan is the idea here. We'll assume the down payment's already been made. The loan amount was 1.6 at, what'd you say, 2.5?
2.25.
Wow. 30-year note?
Yeah.
No balloon?
Nope.
Okay, so principal on that's around 6,100? Principal and interest?
Yes.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Taxes and insurance are going to be a whole bunch more somewhere else, et cetera. So, and we're like approximately 4 years in. So, interest, principal, remaining balance.
We're
We'd
probably
be
close. I think we're at like 3 around there. Yeah.
okay. Let me just highlight this row. I can restore my. That's just a reference point for us. Now, if you sold it, you're going to spend money on it and fix it up. And you're going to sell at what, 2.4, 2.3?
Correct. Yeah. 2.3, 2.4.
Yeah, let's go with the lower number, be a little conservative. And how much down payment?
Down payment would be, we had a couple options. So we thought probably 20% if we didn't owner carry.
Okay. So then you'd be financing 1.84 up against this. So let's duplicate this tab and do another mortgage. Well, I mean, we could actually do the 2, 3, and a down payment of 460 at what, 5%, 7%? What are you going to get?
So that was if we were carrying and wrapping it, we
Yeah.
were gonna do, if they were just gonna come in and come up with the difference and then like carry the loan, we were gonna do a rate bump of 2%, so 4.25. But then
Wait,
if we
you
were
mean
owner
you
carrying
mean if they
portion of
came
it,
in with enough cash to put you at a mirror of the existing balance?
correct, yeah. Then
Oh,
we would
but
do a rate bump on that.
what if they only brought in the 460?
So then we would do a rate bump and then do an owner carry on the difference.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The wraparound.
Yeah. Yeah. So then
You-
we were up in the air on that on that. If we do an owner carry
Okay.
portion was 10%. I don't know what that would look like blended, and then doing
Oh,
a
you'd
bump
have
on
two
the
separate interest rates.
possibly. And that was, I wasn't sure if that'd be
Okay.
like a hybrid, right?
You
And the
could,
wrap
yeah,
would
you
just
could.
be one payment.
Yeah, you could wrap it all into one interest rate and make 4.25% on your equity, and you'd be marking up the other interest rate by 2%. You could also do a separate note for what's the difference here? About 340,000. So you could carve out 340 or less at a higher interest rate, such as 8 to 10%, if they can afford the payment for that, by the way. You start getting into affordability issues here. And then
Yeah.
you could actually sell that note off for cash if you wanted a quick exit. But you've already just collected a bunch of cash, so I would think you're in it for the long term, that like leaving some money parked. So let's just look at the whole thing as a single wrap at 4.25 real quick.
Okay.
So that pushes the monthly payment up to 9,051, not including taxes and insurance. So the difference between 9,051 and 6,115, let's figure that. I'm gonna have to Control Shift page down is the keyboard shortcut for that in Google Sheets, by the way. To switch tabs here, minus 6,115. So you're making 2,900 bucks a month on that spread right there. That's just markup. Some of that's principal, some of that's interest, by the way.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. What other questions do we need to ask here? And you'd start a new 30-year amortization.
Yep.
If they rode that for 30 years, which I'm not sure they would, but if they rode it for 30 years because it's 4.25% interest, then the last 3 to 4 years, you'd be making that full 9,051 because your underlying debt would be gone.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you suggest between doing a hybrid versus a wrap?
Well, I mean, who's your buyer? Who's gonna afford 9,051 plus taxes and insurance? And then who's gonna be able to afford more than that?
Yeah, it is I mean, they're gonna have cash, not being it's a higher end luxury market.
Yeah. Um, I mean, you got to know who your buyer is to figure that out. The the other piece, like if you carved some of this out and charge a different interest, even if you charge the same interest rate on it, you could still sell off a 4.25% mortgage at a discount and cash out if you wanted to. So that if you do that, it retains some flexibility to you. You follow?
Okay. Yeah.
And I can't find my iPad, so that's cool. I'm gonna pull up my iPad and doodle a little bit, but maybe I can pull up a previous illustration. Oh my gosh. Come on. I let my license lapse because I don't need Office anymore. And OneNote's free though, by the way. Let's see if I can find it. Does anybody else have comments or questions on this? Like, don't understand the deal? He's acquiring at 1 point. Well, are you doing it? Are you acquiring for 1.5 or are you doing cash into it on top?
We acquired we took the loan sub two,
But no
Yep.
cash to seller?
the 1.5. We did cash the seller, 160.
So you're into the deal for 1.66.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going to spend how much more?
Say 400.
Oh, so you're really not making too much. That's also why you want 20% because you recover most of your money back. So your money parked in the deal is really not going to be too much money parked left in the deal if you get your down payment.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the plan, was like, hey, if we took it, we're listing it on the market at a higher point without it being remodeled, just to see if anybody bid. We'd make 100 grand off of it, flip it in a month, didn't do anything. But also, like, if we wrapped it or did a hybrid with somebody that wanted to do the remodel or just take the house down, and we would basically, the plan is to just recoup our money, and then we're just riding it and making the bumps on it.
Yeah. I feel like we really haven't got down to any specific answer. We kind of just explored a little bit of the financials. What specific question can I answer? Or are you just looking for general observations?
Yeah, just some general observations. So we came up with a couple of options of, like, we kind of looked at it and said, okay, if we sold it, someone was to come in traditionally and take it down cash or get a loan on it. And then we did a comparison of like what the payment would be, but then also want to have it like a client, like a customer interface document where we're going to send out and say, hey, 7.5, 7.25 right now, this is what your payment would be with 20% down. And then comparing it to a wrap with 20% down, and then also like an owner carry. So if it was going to be if we want to explore that option, if it was like 10% down, we'd carry the rest at a higher rate and just
Yeah.
compare.
Okay. Let's see if we can figure out a way to make that look like something. Because comparing those options, so I've got the spreadsheet, but I haven't really built it to compare those options necessarily. We can just look at the numbers and write them down on a Google Doc or something like that. Just to compare the options, or a blank tab on the spreadsheet. Let's switch to this. Okay, option 1 is going to be, what is that going to be? Wrap, like all-inclusive wrap
Mm-hmm.
at 4.25. Now, two would be to split it out a little bit.
Yeah, option 2 would be, if they did like 10% down, or we'd play with the numbers and see if they were 0 down, what we would carry it at.
0 down is not my favorite way to
Yeah,
approach things.
I
by
figured
the way.
10% down.
Okay. Wrap 1.5 million at 4.25%. Seller finance. How much? 10% would be 2.3 minus 23, 230,000. So that'd be 2 mil,
Yep.
wouldn't it? Seller finance. Oh, 2 mil minus 1.5. So seller finance, 500K at what interest with a 230,000 down payment?
Yeah, we put owner carry 10%. But that was at like just when I was throwing it down here as if we were doing 0 down. At 10%.
Okay.
But maybe like something like a 8%.
What do we say? What was that? 1.83?
10%.
So no, I'm looking at back at it on the screen here. I was looking at the previous. What do we underwrite? It was 1.84. My bad. You follow what I'm doing?
Yep.
I'm documenting the scenarios a little more clearly so we can easily discern between them. Do we have a third option?
The third option was just traditional, like a conventional sale of it if they just bought it and got a loan on it themselves, which would
Okay.
be at like 7.25.
What price would you sell it at then?
When we had it on here, so we ran a couple scenarios. As one was, so we're in it 1.6 million roughly, and 1.650 million into it. So we were looking at it saying if we put it on the market at 1.9, as is. And so if somebody came and picked that up, we figured if somebody just said, hey, we want to buy it, we're going to, remodel it. We have a remodeling business as well. We pick that up and just make a margin off of that. And then we figured, okay, we'd probably come down to 1.8. And then we ran some other numbers that like based on like one, we bumped the price up on a sub 2. So if it was like somebody wanted to put 20% down and we do the 4.25%, then we'd sell it at like 1.9, not remodeled. And then if somebody wanted to put like 10% down, then we bump the purchase price up to like say 2 million or something like that. Kind of similar, I guess, how we would do it if we were taking a property down, right? Like the less we could put down, the more we'd pay on a subdue deal.
Yes. But you started saying conventional sale and you ended that with a different option though.
Yeah, so those were like our price points originally. Like, so we have two exits. One is we could sell it just the way it is, if somebody wanted to take it without us doing anything on the remodel.
Yeah.
So that's the conventional way at like
At 1.9?
1.8. 1.8 on conventional, and then going on the 10% down, we were figuring 2 million roughly, and then 1.9 on the 4.25 wrap.
As is.
As is, yeah. So that's kind of our first option, is to see what's out there with that and market that, because there's a
Got it.
process we're going through to get everything approved. And then if we had anybody that was interested in doing the remodel, then we would take it to the next step and do the remodel, maybe finance that, or they'd finance it, and then we would just sell it based off of these options. Does that make sense?
I believe so. I'm trying to put it in a
Okay.
clear list of options here. All inclusive wrap at of what would it be 1 point. Yeah, well, what's your down payment? So if you do the as is, how much down would you take?
If we did as is, and we did like that option one as is.
No,
Oh,
no.
sorry, you're doing so it basically kind of mirror the same things. We would just drop the price down. So
Okay, so
like an as
200K
is.
down. All inclusive
Yep.
wrap would be then 1.8 million
Mm-hmm.
at 4.25. That's a 2% markup. Okay, so this is going to be fixed up. These two options. And these are going to be as is. We get some visual clarity between the different types here. Go blue. All right, so that makes 200K profit and you're out. This one makes you 40K profit at close. If you do an as-is sale, because you're in it for 1.65, 1.66.
Yep. Yeah.
That's not quite is that 40K? Hold on. 340. Okay. But you would take 200K down because you put 160K cash to close, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's where the 40K, that's where my number was. Because you'd take 200K down as a down payment, and that would leave you 40K profit of your current standing financially, right?
Yep.
And then, so let's do this. Let's say profit or profit at COE. That could be negative here because 460K down. You follow what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
No, 460. I'm sorry. 1.8. And you have 1.6 in, but you really haven't. Oh, but your total in on this option was going to be more because you had to put more money in it, right?
Yeah. Another 4 on the remodel.
But what if we said no remodel just to see?
We have as is options down here.
Oh,
Yep.
So if you just turn around and sold at 1.8, I don't know, you'd have agent commissions in there. I'm not touching agent commissions. You have to figure that out. Same thing. You'd probably lose all your 40K. But you'd be making ongoing monthly profit. Income, maybe income is a better option on this. Let's look at this one then. 40K at COE, and how much income would we be making? Oops, for wrapping it. You'd have 1.8 at 4.25. Did I get that right? Nope, not 18 million. Come on, man. There we go. That's 8,800. And your underlying principal interest
Was like 60.
6115. 2739 is your take home on this. But how much money are you still? Oh, so you come out either break even or profitable, and then you make 2,700 bucks a month on that.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
So at the as is, and that doesn't require you to do any work or put any more money in it. I already
Yeah.
know that these ones are going to leave you negative. You're going to have cash stuck in the deal with the ones where you do fix up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was your total cash going to be in the deal? You said 400,000 on top, and you're already 160.
Yeah.
So 560 minus 230 is the math there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it was 10% down on 2-3.
So you're negative 330. And then you're going to make how much? Let's run these numbers. You're going to make monthly income. I'm going to have to do this monthly income 1 and monthly income 2. Fun little buddy. All right, so this is from the wrap. You're going to do 1.5 at 4.25%. So let's compare that. That's 1,264. And then your 10, why didn't I put a dollar sign? Did it stick? I don't know why I won't do that. That's stupid. Anyway, your 500K at 10%, same amortization schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just take the 1 off and go down to 10%. That's 4,300. 4,387. So let's put 4,387. This is bugging me why it won't go currency. There we go. So let's tally. Equals this plus this. Let's make this column bold. We're just building random stuff here. All right, so 2740. So this is just straight profit from the beginning. This one, how long is it going to take to earn 330K at $5,600 profit?
Take too long.
Yeah,
5 years.
divided by 60 months, 5 years. Yeah, okay.
And how do you protect they don't refinance out of that?
Yeah. Have you seen them protecting from refinancing? So if you're like structuring this to make your money off of return off of the bump on the interest rate on a wrap, do you have any language in there that protects if they like a early payoff?
Haha. Yeah. Oh, dang it. My video was blocking some of those numbers. Should have told me.
No, that's right. We did.
Let me just make myself a little smaller.
Oh, pretty face is gone, just like
There
that.
we go. Let's see. You're asking what? Oh, what if they refi early? Well, you still get
Yeah.
paid off. So as long as you're not going negative on your like what you're in it versus what they owe you, if they do a payoff, you're losing the profit afterward.
Yeah.
So your profit's still basically mostly in the markup of the sale price. You'll still get paid your principal increase or your equity, but you won't be making the 10% profit on the money that's parked in the deal.
Got it.
So let's do this one though. The profit at COE, that's going to be less negative because it's twice as much down payment, right? So we're looking at 560 minus 460. So you're negative 100K. And then we do the 1.84, 184. Dang it. I guess on how many zeros to do. at 4.25% interest, and that makes you $29.36 a month. Oh, for crying out loud. But that's just an all-inclusive wrap.
That's 3 years.
You could still carve out a different amount, like the 340 at 10%.
Yeah.
Let's make this option 1.5 since I already shot myself in the foot. 460K down. No. 1.5 at 4.25% and 340K at 10%.
Is that realistic? Is 10% realistic on something like that?
You tell me. I'm going to rely on you to know that. Do you have a buyer that's going to be willing and able to afford the combined monthly payment? So what is that combined monthly payment? That's going to be 1.5.
Versus into that.
It's going to be, let's remember this number, 7,300 plus, we're going to say 340 at 10% on 30 years. So plus another 2,983.
Yeah, that's less than what it would be if they got it at 7.5 for the full balance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
So
it's like 14,000 if they were to go get it at a normal traditional lending at 7.5.
right. So you're going to have
So-
to be able to put together like a little sales packet that shows all that, maybe a little slide deck, Canva presentation, or who knows what else. But okay, so 340 at 10%, that's 2,983. Let me use that while I got the number. 2,983. And then your interest rate arbitrage here would be, what do we do? No, don't do that. Please go back. 1500000. And if I say it like that, I can get it. So that's your 1264 is your cash there. Differential for combined 4247 and your negative 1K, 100K on the same deal type. So how many years to your return there? 100 divided by 4,200.
It's like a little over 2 years, maybe a month. Oh, that's it.
Well, yeah,
those-
it's 2 years.
and then-
That's
Yeah,
a 50% ROI, by the way.
Yeah.
So it for those watching this in the future, a 2-year return on your investment, they're going to put how much? Well, they've already put money in, but by the time they sell this, they'll be back at they'll leave 100,000 parked in the deal. Okay, so they'll be cashed back out of their first 400 and some odd thousand. No, 560,000. They'll be cashed out 460, but they spent 560 to get into it. So then they're leaving 100K parked in the deal, and it's going to take 2 years under these terms for them to get all of their cash back. After that, it's profit of $4,200 a month. So in month 25, it's pure profit.
It's still be
What was
good. If it was 0 in it, it'd still be great numbers.
Mhm.
What was the return on this one? This was 2936 divided by 100K or 100K. So 34 divided by 12 is how many months are in a year so that we can get the 2.8.
Yeah.
2.8 year return. You want the cash on cash return? Who knows that formula? If we have 100,000 parked in the deal. Well, actually, let's find out what's the annual. So this one, 2936 times 12. That's what we got to do. 2936 times 12. The annual is 35K. Divide that against 100K. These are easy numbers because it's 100K. and you've got a 35.2% cash on cash return. Let me just drag this over. People like to see cash on cash more than they like to see the years to get their money back. That was, let's just make it formulaic. Equals this times 12. Let's put that in parentheses. Although PEMDAS being multiplication and division, it won't matter if we do one before the other, but for visuals, then divide that by, dang, I'm gonna have to use real numbers here.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be a percentage. There we go. But this actually needs to be the 360 to 330. Still not a bad return, by the way.
No.
But when you're thinking how long does it take to get my money back, it's like, not as attractive. This one's immediate cash on cash return, and it goes straight to profit. What about this one? Oh, that's just straight profit. Dang it. You didn't tell me my head was in the way again. You guys, help me out. Just going to shrink a little tiny. Now I can't be in the way. Is this helpful for you to look at?
Yeah.
Okay. There's not, like, I used to do, not many people know this, by the way, but I used to be a traveling massage therapist, and the quiet patients or clients or whatever you want to call them were the worst ones, because I don't know if I'm doing a good job. They're not going, you guys are being too quiet, by the way, just to let you know.
You show
You
that
gotta-
thing we created, and he can maybe look at that, or I don't know if you can see your screen. We
Yeah, you
created
guys-
kind of
You guys
version
can
of
share
this.
screen if you want. I'll let you.
That's what, and this is why it came up, is we were trying to figure out how to present based on what options were the best for a consumer, an end buyer. And trying
Yes.
to model this, but in a presentation style that would be reasonable for somebody to understand that doesn't understand.
Too many options, they're going to get confused and just move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
So it's like you got to give them 2 options, not 3, not 5. You can be as flexible as you want, but present 2 options and then and just say, by the way, we're negotiable.
yeah. So this would be, I don't know if you can see the screen that we're sharing right now.
But we will. Yep. Got it. It's a half screen. It's this one Chrome window for the spreadsheet.
Yep.
I don't know if you got address, but if you don't want the address to show, we're live streaming. So make sure you're
Okay.
careful about that.
That's all right. Cool. Oh, anything too critical on here. So can you zoom it out a little bit? So our goal was kind of to put those options together. Where was the one that was consumer facing? Maybe the bottom one? Yeah, cash, conventional, and then it went sub 2 with the interest rate bump and a cash down payment, and then sub 2 with the interest rate bump and an owner carry with the remaining balance. That was how we were trying to show it to a potential.
I would not show it sub 2. I would show that as seller finance, and you'll disclose during the process that it's sub 2, because now you have to explain sub 2. See if it's
Yeah.
attractive. Let them bite, let them get hooked. Now don't
Yep.
bait and switch, but let them bite the hook and say, "Oh yeah, I'd buy that on seller finance at 1.9."
Keep it simple.
Yeah, sub 2 is going to confuse. So seller finance 4.25% with what is that, 10% down payment?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or is it? No.
Well, no,
400.
it was a
Right.
10% carry on the last one. I don't know. Yeah, that
Oh,
option.
I'm looking at F and G. I'm looking at the first sub 2 at 4.25.
Look, can you try the top real quick? Maybe that's what, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're looking at the very top section.
No, I wasn't. I was looking at the buy options consumer financing.
Oh,
Row
okay.
30, row 31, F and G.
Maybe, I think we
Okay.
summarized it a little cleaner on the very top, like rows 2 through 8, to try to make it more
Yeah.
visually appealing. I don't know if that helps.
Oh, and there's solar.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to document that, because we do have solar with the balance that is owed.
I would wrap it all in. So you're going to have this master blended rate, but if you do the full thing, including solar at 4.25, then you're getting a 2.25 markup on that 50K. You're getting a 2% markup on the 2.25. Just wrap it all in. But then you're going to disclose that it's subject to a solar lien and a first mortgage.
There we go.
Now, yeah, how do you clearly document that it's 1.55 at 4.25%, and then the remaining, what, 300 some odd thousand is at 10%? Oh, they can pay as much down payment as they want, up to X, but anything you'll finance up to 1.55 million at 4.25%. Anything above that, you finance at 10%.
Okay.
You're flex.
So-
Yeah, I think that's easier to say than to write. If I had
Yeah.
more time, there's a quote. If I had more time, I'd write you a shorter letter. It's hard to write succinctly. So,
Yeah.
but conceptually, the one liner is we're flexible on down payment. We will finance up to, this is a two-liner. We will finance up to 1.55 million at 4.25% interest. Above
Yep.
anything above that, we're financing separately as a secondary balance at 10% interest. We'll be flexible on how much down payment we take.
Yeah, that's a way better way to say it. And I think to back into how much we would do the owner carry at, we would just determine what at the current purchase price and the current market rate, what that total payment would be for them. And just make sure that the cost of this would be slightly under that, so it's appealing. Because at this price point, the buyer's not gonna have credit, more than likely isn't gonna have credit or cash issues.
Yeah.
In our area. This is a more affluent buyer for our area, so they're not, they may not, most of these buyers wouldn't even want to finance. We would just want them to.
Yeah. So you're trying to make it attractive to them.
Yeah. So we want it to be less than if they did finance it, so that they want to finance it, because that's beneficial for us. And still saves them money. So.
Yep.
I think that's what we're looking for.
Well,
Yeah, that helps a lot.
you're going to have some carrying costs though. So it will actually take a little bit longer than 2 years or 2.8 years on those other options we looked at because you've got rehab carrying costs. Either way,
Yeah.
you're not going to sell this in 30 days, are you? It's not going to go that fast.
No.
So you'll have some carrying costs to count against your profits. But that's the tough part is where do you estimate how much for carrying costs, and how do we factor that in on the early underwriting to our actual deal profit?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what we would probably do is build that into the total sales price, knowing what our timeline is for the rehab,
Yeah.
which right now is like 4 to 6 months. So we're putting in 10,000 a month in carry costs on that, just
Okay.
as a lot for us internally.
Yeah. And then the as is sale, how fast could you turn it around if you sold it as is?
I think we could turn in like 45 days.
Dude, 45-day turnaround to be making $2,700 a month doesn't sound bad.
That's why, so we're going through planning right now to do the remodel. We've got all the construction docs being drawn. That's why we just said, let's get this thing listed.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
Let's get this thing put together, the platform put together on how we would market it. And
Yeah.
then see if it sells prior, or if it sells during remodel, we could have a buyer come in and take over the existing remodel. We could execute that for them as the builder, or we can see it to completion and then change the price at the end.
Gotcha.
So we're trying to explore different exit options. It's our first time, so we're learning.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. It's a lot of options, and that's really the problem is it's too many options, too many. It gets confusing real fast. Like which one's the most good or the least bad? That's all right. But you got to pick one and go.
And you wouldn't put language in there to like prohibit someone from doing a payoff, or maybe you can't do that. I don't know.
If it's an owner occupant, you generally can't have prepayment penalties.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect that you could. I'm probably going to dig myself a hole trying to make absolute statements, but owner occupants, I would not plan on having that or a balloon date. If you're selling to a non-owner occupant, you guys can do, you can get real crazy with that stuff. I've seen a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 step down. With an owner occupant, you could do a planned rate hike. Oh, that's usually no, that's the other way around. That's what you would do a planned rate hike to encourage them to refinance, not to discourage them from refinancing. But why would they refi if they've got a decent rate with you?
Yeah, and the only word I think on this one is just that these people probably have the cash to buy. And that's where maybe we just up the cash purchase price to a higher amount and say, hey, you can either pay cash this amount or we'll finance you at this and make the cash price less incentivized for them to want to use it.
Or you could lease it to Grant Cardone because he doesn't want to buy, and he doesn't want to own his own house.
Yeah. I'll call Grant. Do you have his
It's
number?
stupid to own.
All right, that's cool. Well, that's good. That's helpful.
Okay. It felt just like a lot of just probing around in the dark to see what's there as far as the deal and the math.
It feels like we would structure it to where we don't leave any money in the deal. If best case scenario, we just pull all the money out and take a bump on it for a return, which that might make the most sense.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like a bad deal. That's assuming that your numbers are accurate. So, you know, just as a disclaimer for anybody watching, for me to say it sounds like a good deal, I didn't comp it.
Right.
I'm trusting in you guys' numbers. Generally, my underwriting has to rely on other people's numbers, though. Because I just had this discussion with my team today. We were talking about, can we offer like a comping service or something like that? And I'm like, no, please don't try to make any promises there, because you go drive a neighborhood and just roll your windows down and park for 10 minutes and you'll have a greater idea of like, oh, the local comping value is different than what I can see from Zillow or whatever other platform. So comping is an art, but there's also a lot of local knowledge that makes some people extremely good at it. And I don't want somebody basing their numbers nationwide based on, you know, me or my team's ability to comp, which may be limited by sub market feedback that's needed.
I agree with that. We'll know in 30 days if it's a good deal. We'll let you know.
That's good. That's good. Okay, thanks, guys.
House to live in. So
Yeah. We can all go share the cost and live in it together. It's big enough. Okay. Where is it? What state?
Boise, Idaho.
Oh, okay, yeah. Nice. How cold does it get there?
It snows. It gets chilly. Not as much as you think.
I'm in Kansas City, so we got to negative 20 last year.
Doesn't get that cold here.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good to know.
Yeah, it's warmer climate than that, but
cool.
So,
thanks, guys.
Anybody's listening?
Yeah, thank you.
It's available.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? No problem. Oh, one thing I was going to work on was a side-by-side amortization table. Do you guys want my numbers, a screenshot of those numbers and stuff like that?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me turn off my video so you can just get your screenshot. Let me zoom it out just a tad so you get the ROI piece. What are we at? 150. There you go. You got it? You got your screenshot?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm going to delete that tab and restore my spreadsheet back to normal. Yep. Delete. Yeah, so I wanted to see, like, I mean, if you do a wrap and your monthly principal and interest is fixed at $2,000 and you wrap it up to a higher rate and your monthly, like if you increase the equity and the interest rate and your new monthly payment is $2,800, you're making an $800 spread. That's pretty straightforward. But what we're going to find out is, or what my goal to find out is, what percentage of that $800 is principal versus interest side by side. I'm not sure that's going to be productive. It was a high level of curiosity thing for me. Have you guys thought about that? Anybody?
We talked about it yesterday, trying to figure out how that works. When you're doing a wrap, we don't even know how that works. If you're doing a 2% interest rate wrap on 1.5 million, that's what, 30,000 annually. Is that all just interest payable to the person doing the bump, or how does that?
Well, if you mirror the existing loan balance, then it's all interest
Okay.
and not principal. But if you mark up how much is being financed, then part of that payment is principal and part of it's interest.
Mm.
Are they taxed differently? Yeah, because interest is, Raina
Interest-
might know the answer to this, but interest is taxed at regular income, and equity gains would be taxed as capital gains.
It just depends on your tax bracket. So of how it will be taxed. But yes, interest income is usually taxed as, again, depending on the asset. Bank account taxable income is your normal tax bracket. Rental property interest income will be similar to capital gains.
What about the sale of a property on a seller finance note?
It depends on how much did you put in. It's just and the dollar amount.
For the interest
And whatever-
income?
The interest capital gains is generally you take the sell price minus what you purchased it from, minus any leasehold improvements. Interest income does not fall into capital gains.
Right. So if I receive $2,000 a month off of a deal after my expenses on a seller finance deal, and let's just say 800 of it is principal, and then 1,200 of it is interest, I'm going to have two separate tax rates at the end of the year on that 800 times 12 and the 1,200 times 12. And they're going to change a little bit every month because it's amortized, right? So on the 1,200 of interest, I'm going to pay my regular income tax rate. And on the principal, I'm going to pay capital gains because that was my markup on the sale.
I would say depends.
Tentative,
Again, it
not even
depends
a
on did you
tentative
buy
yes.
it. Yeah, depends. Did you buy it as an LLC? Did you buy it as a personal property? That's what makes the difference. Because if you bought it
just
as an entity,
yeah,
it's the
as a
Schedule
short-term
C.
turnaround.
Again, it depends on the buying entity because the Schedule C is taxed differently than your personal entity, even though it's passed through. But I would say whatever your personal interest rate is, assume you're going to be taxed on the interest portion of it as a short answer.
Okay. Well, I have a version of my calculator from a long time back. Oh, do we have a question in the chat? No. Okay. Where'd my video go? See, you guys got me screwing myself up. There we go. There I am. This is an old version of my calculator. Now, click the wrong thing. There we go. And I can have side-by-side loans. Loan 1, 2, and 3. Yeehaw. This is too complex for me to publish for people because it would drive people crazy. Try to get loan balances over time, over 30 years, charts and stuff. It's cool to look at, but not fun to use. So if we had 300,000 there, let me zoom this a little bit. And we'll go 150. Can I even do what I'm looking at doing? Loan amount 300 at 2.25% interest on 30 years, and the first payment date, yeah, 7/1/23. And then we have what is today? 6/1/24. 30-year amortization. Let's go 4.25, just like you guys were doing before. For an exact balance, no equity markup on 30-year financing. We're looking at these two sections right here, lien 1 and lien 2. So 7/1/23. Oh, this one doesn't even start. This one doesn't skip down and wait until it gets down to that other date. Stink. I can't do it. So, but we can still compare. Let's just imagine they both start at the same time. 7/1/23. Okay. Let's look at the principal balance of these two side by side. So I'm looking at column G and column K. 1 year in, 292 remaining, 292, 916. 1 year in the other one, 294, 942. So the payoff is going to be higher at the higher interest rate because more of that monthly payment went to interest than went to principal, even though the payment is higher. Because it's scheduled for 30 years. Am I speaking sense to people?
Yeah, this makes
Okay.
sense.
So let's look at 5 years in. 60 months, 5 years in, your payoff balance is 262,934 at the 2.25% interest, and it is 272,423. So $10,000 different of principal that you still are going to get paid at when they refi. So at the higher interest rate, your principal is not paying down as fast. Man, this wall of numbers is almost blinding. It's hard to pick where we're at. So you're making more in interest and you get paid more in principal at the 6-year or 5-year payoff for doing this. And toward the end of the loan, let's look at that. They start reconverging. Oh, it's like they get further apart for a while and then they get closer together again back toward the end. Because the remaining principal balance for the last 2 years, yeah, your remaining principal balance is still higher, but then it reconverges back down to zero by comparison. Fun. I wonder, is it right at the 15-year mark on matching 30 years that it peaks? Is that where the highest differential is? 175 to 196? I don't want to run the math manually right now. It's been an hour. I'm about done. My brain isn't braining these things. But this was an interesting thought exercise, at least initially. And if you put this up to like 7% interest, the difference is going to be even more drastic. It still has to hit at the end. It has to hit at the end. But year 15, let's look at that. 175 compared to 222. Yeah. So yours pays down faster. If you buy sub 2 at a low interest rate, yours pays down faster, the principal balance, compared to your wrap paying down slower. You make more profit off of interest, and you're going to have more principal to hang on to if and when they refi.
I assume long-term escrow just handles all of the back end of this.
The
as far as
amortization, you got
Yeah.
you got 2 amortization schedules. So your first loan is
Yeah.
with the servicing company already, by the way. Bank of America isn't the they don't self-service for the most part. They outsource it to somebody at like bankofamerica.loanservicing.com. And it's actually loanservicing.com that's doing it. So it's already serviced and they're going to track the amortization schedule. And then over here, your loan servicer is going to track the amortization schedule of your wrap.
Yeah.
And if you need a payoff, you order a payoff. At any given time, you can order a payoff from loan 1 or you can order a payoff from loan 2. But looking at them side by side, we can tell that the amortization is going to be different along the way. Or the payoff balances are going to differ along the way.
If someone was to just do an interest rate bump on a deal like this, and then say the person sold it in 2 years, say they sold it for no profit, just the interest rate arbitrage, I think is what you guys are calling it.
Mhm.
And then 2 years later, that new buyer sold it. That interest is done. That person, if we were the original seller, we're done making money on it after 2 years. Is that correct?
Yes, but your payoff would actually still be higher than the current balance remaining. That's what we just learned,
Yeah.
right? If you bump the interest rate, that means you have a slower pay down.
Yeah. So it'd be more, yeah, because of that extra.
So the
Rate.
1.5 here, real quick. Let's do the 1.5 side by side. 500,000. Dang it. The extra zeros are killing me. Good. Got it. Okay. 2.25, 4.25, 30 year, 30 year. Now, remember, you're starting your 30 years after they're starting theirs. So this scenario is going to put them side by side as if they started at the exact same time. But let's go to the 2-year mark. The remaining balance 1.42 1,428,000 versus 1,448,000. So that's 20K extra in principal that you're getting paid. You've made how much? What's your monthly payment? 57 to 73.
15. About 30 grand.
1,600. So you're making $1,646 a month on interest rate arbitrage, and you'll make a 20K. What is that? Principal differential at payoff. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was fun to learn.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Oh, nerd stuff.
Nerd
All right, you
stuff.
guys. Next Thursday, we're going to do another hour. We'll try to do this pretty consistently on Thursdays. Bring weird stuff and let's explore together. Invite other people too, please.
This is great.
Yeah, that was a
Peace
good
out,
example,
guys.
guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you next
Yeah,
time.
we'll talk to you in a couple days.
You will? Why?
I'll see you in a couple days. So.
Oh, okay, cool.